Welcome to Political Beatdown. I'm Ben Meiselas, joined by Michael Cohen. We've got a lot to discuss. I suppose if there's any silver lining in those 8 Democratic senators capitulating, and I struggle to find any, it is that Adelita Grijalva, the Congresswoman-elect from Arizona's 7th Congressional District, will be sworn in. She will become the 218th signature on the discharge petition, and we can be laser focused on the release of the Epstein files. And I want to get into those 8 Democrats later in the show because I'm sure you have very strong feelings.
You mean Democrats?
Well, let's start off, though, talking about the fact that Adelita Grijalva will be sworn in, okay? She will lend her name and become the 218th signature. That will then trigger a vote within about a week or so, give or take a few days, for then the full release of the Epstein files. The expectation is that there will then be about 60 Republicans who are expected to cross over and vote to release the Epstein files once it's no longer a discharge petition, but on the House floor, and may even be more than 60. And here's the part, though, where I want to caution people, right, Cohen? Because we have a legislature where it requires the House and the Senate. So then the question becomes, when it passes in the House, will we see the Senate then kill the resolution to release the Epstein files? And what's the ramifications of that? I just wanted to show you this, though, to start, because I don't think this is getting enough attention about just how other countries, how the rest of the world.
And before, can I throw a question at you that's been sitting and I don't actually know the answer to it? Mm-hmm. So we know that right now there's 217 members of the House who signed on to the discharge petition. And Adelita Grijalva would be 218.
Yep.
Are you permitted to remove your name from that list prior to it ultimately being put forth to the Speaker of the House? Because for whatever the reason may be, I believe that Mike Johnson may have gotten to 1 or 2 or maybe even more Democrats and or Republicans that are going to remove their name, therefore you won't have the 218. Something just for me feels wrong, and I don't know what it is.
Well, here are your signatures on the Republican side. You have Massey, right? He's the individual who led the efforts with Ro Khanna. You have Marjorie Taylor Greene, okay? You have Nancy Mace. You have Lauren Boebert. And I think that's it. Like, that's the 4 right there. And at least Marjorie Taylor Greene says she's never changing. Boebert says she's never changing. Mace says she's never changing, and Massey's leading it. The fact that it's those 3 women who have made Epstein their biggest issue, as opposed to one of these other MAGA Republicans. We'll see, Cohen, but would it shock me if Lauren Boebert, all of a sudden says, now I've switched or something? Who knows? Nancy Mace, and she yells at people in airports every day. So, it's not exactly the most, predictable human being, but that's where we're at now. Let me just show you this, because what America's being perceived of internationally now is basically the land of pedophiles. And so in response to the United States building up its military presence, which it pretty much fully has right now, in the Caribbean area, off the shores of Venezuela, again, kind of near Colombia. Also, you have President Petro of Colombia. Here's what he's saying about the United States of America. Let's play this clip.
Un clan de pedófilos a clan of pedophiles wants to end democracy in Colombia. Harsh, yes, but that's the reality. And so that the list doesn't come out, they send us armored vehicles to kill fishermen from the city and threaten the neighbor, whether dictator or not. How is it that the people of Colombia are going to applaud invading their brother, which is not the president, but the people of Venezuela?
And you have a regime in power, the Trump regime, engaging in war crimes off the coast of Venezuela and Colombia, and a regime that's committed to covering up a child sex trafficking ring, America's lost all authority throughout the world, like zero, like that's how we're being.
I mean,
viewed.
you've lost authority when Colombia and Venezuela are turning and saying that your actions are fucked up, right? I mean, that's when you know that you have lost the moral high ground.
And they're right. You're like, you listen to the guy, you're like, yeah.
You took the words right out of my mouth, and they are right. I mean, they're up to what, 69, 70, 71 people
like
dead?
75.
I mean, it's something like that. And 16, 17 boat strikes. What if? And I say what if, not to be a smartass. I say it because we don't know. You know, my whole life I've lived trying to work with facts and facts only. Show me one piece of documentation, just one piece that validates those strikes, that verifies that the boats that were knocked out of that were blown up were actually drug boats and not boats of fishermen, bunch of guys going lobster fishing or crab fishing or mackerel fishing or whatever the hell they have out there in the sea. Maybe tuna. I have no idea. But it should not be a crime punishable by death for catching a tuna or a mackerel or a lobster. I mean, listen, like I said, when you lose the moral high ground to Colombia and you lose it to Venezuela, you know that you're gechaktsurus.
Look, well, the United Kingdom has shut down its provision of intelligence to the United States. This was from CNN exclusive. UK suspends its intelligence sharing with the US over boat strike concerns in a major break. Specifically, the some intelligence relates to all of the intelligence in the Caribbean region. You know, UK has lots of bases in that area. They control certain territories in that area, and they would provide information to the United States for the purpose of interdiction, right? Stopping the boats in those areas. And then when the US would stop boats that actually had drugs on it, they would then do interdictions, interrogations, and try to climb the chain to get to the cartel leaders themselves versus the mules. Well, now that intelligence is being shut down. And just think about it. If UK is shutting down that intelligence, and the reason they're doing it, Cohen and brigaders, is because they don't want to be complicit in war crimes. They've determined, adjudicated, deemed, as had the United Nations, and soon the International War Tribunal, when the people in the United States, after this regime is over, I think will and should be prosecuted for war crimes. And other countries are worried about in any way being complicit with war crimes and war criminals. And that's why the UK is shutting down its intelligence. I just want you to think about it like this. Just think if this was any other country in the world doing this, what we would think about them, as we would think that these are terrorists, that these are maniacs. I mean, can you imagine? I don't know. Take any other country. Just say Japan. Just picking a random country. Just say Japan's military in the Pacific area would go around off the shores of, say, Indonesia or areas like that.
Why can't we use an actual factual scenario to prove your point? Because there's one that comes directly to mind.
Let's use a factual. Which one do you want to use?
Join me. How about this one? How about this? We all know the story of Kim Jong-un angry at his uncle because there were rumors, right, that his uncle was looking to overthrow him and to take over as supreme leader of North Korea. So what did he do? You remember the story? He tied him to a tree, went back 100 yards, and then lined up a rocket launcher and blew up the tree with his uncle attached to it. What did we, as, let's just say, the moral society say? Well, I think we said that's pretty fucked up, right? I mean, that's illegal. They literally blew him and the tree up. Well, it's not illegal there. It certainly would be illegal here. Isn't it the same thing? They're basically taking someone who is innocent. There was no court case. Nobody has adjudicated in a court of law that these boats were drug boats. Nobody adjudicated even in North Korea that his uncle had done anything wrong. But simply because the supreme leader wanted to blow him up and the tree, he went ahead and he did it. Isn't that exactly what's going on here with these boats?
It absolutely is. And I just think about Abu Ghraib, right? The torture that took place in connection with the, quote, war on terror during the Bush administration. Remember the outrage when people discovered that we were taking suspected al-Qaeda operatives and Taliban operatives, putting them into CIA black sites, and basically pouring water on their face with these bags over the face to mimic the feeling of drowning, even though it wasn't actually drowning. And people were like, that's not America. You can't engage in those types of interrogation tactics. So Donald Trump's like, bet I'm going to just kill the people. I'm just going to go around and indiscriminately just murder people. And I'll just say they're narco terrorists, and that will be, that will be the end of it. And I think one of the things we all have to be very wary of and protect ourselves from, and it's why networks like this are so important, is the idea of acclimation and becoming so acclimated to this happening every day and the craziness that we just accept what's happening as, okay, here's another boat that got destroyed. I got it. He wakes up in the morning. He posts about former President Obama needing to, like, let's just go through the day. I'll take literally a day, and this could be every day. And Jeremy, I think we have the graphics that go along with this. Okay.
Oh God.
So he wakes up in the morning, sometime around 6 a.m. East Coast time or 7 a.m. And he calls for former President Obama to get arrested. And there's a post, President Trump can be impeached. If Trump's impeached, then Barack Obama should go to prison for creating Russian collision, not collusion. Collision is what he says. And the acclamation there is, should we normalize the fact that a current president is calling publicly for a former president to be arrested based on deranged, unhinged conspiracies? Or how about even just normalizing the fact that the guy can't spell and he doesn't know the difference between collusion and collision? Because there was once a time when someone would spell potato wrong at the VP level, Dan Quayle, and that would be a national outrage. What is this guy, stupid? You don't know how to spell? You're the vice president. What's going on here? But now it's like, okay, we expect that to happen. So then he goes on with his posts and he starts posting like QAnon deranged conspiracies, the Trump prophecy account. By the way, this is Veterans Day, where he made no Veterans Day posts, right? And I should probably start the show by saying that we appreciate all of those who made the ultimate sacrifice for our country on this Veterans Day. And we acknowledge and we support you, and we are in awe of your sacrifices, and we fight for you every day and just try to do our part. But you are all the heroes. So on Veterans Day, Donald Trump posts the Trump prophecy account. And then to get even kind of more bizarre and creepier, he then posts something called Patriot Pinups, half-naked women wearing American flag bikinis. So he posts the patriotic pinups and says, this is how you know they're patriotic women. You won't have to guess that she's actually a woman. So those were his morning posts. He then kind of moves on, shoots down or kills, one of these fishing boats. Usually it's like one a day now. One of his fake peace deals blows up, but it doesn't get that much coverage because people like the announcement, right? Today was Thailand's peace deal blowing up, that the ceasefire was never really a ceasefire, and Thailand sent tanks and artillery to its border with Cambodia after it claims that Cambodia put landmines that seriously maimed people in the Thailand army. And so that ceasefire's over, but it doesn't get all that much attention. And then you move on throughout the day. And then I want to show you this, Cohen, as well, because Trump's Veterans Day speech was very bizarre. And of course, he very rarely acknowledged the actual veterans. But there's this one moment too, in light of how we started this episode with the fact that MAGA Mike Johnson's going to have to swear in Adelita Grijalva now. So Donald Trump says something during his Veterans Day speech, which I think if you don't have a discerning eye and know how the mafia speaks, you would say, oh, he's just complimenting MAGA Mike Johnson. But when I heard this, especially knowing that the discharge petition's about to be signed, to me, this was a threat. Cohen, you know Trump better than just about anybody. I want you to listen to him congratulating MAGA Mike and saying you have a great place in history. Tell me what you think this actually means in the mafia code of Donald Trump. Let's play it.
And we're also honored to be joined by a great man. He will go down as a great man someday. Speaker Mike Johnson. Speaker. Wherever you may be, Speaker. We love you, Speaker. There he is, right there. Good. Got a good location. He always gets a good location. And congratulations to you and to John and to everybody on a very big victory. We're opening up our country. Should have never been closed. Should have never been closed.
Cohen.
Yeah. I'm not really sure that he said anything there that, we should take as anything more than just self-adulation. In that way, again, what he's trying to do is just to prove to us that this was a Schumer shutdown, that the Democrats are responsible. It never should have been closed. Great for our victory and things like that. Again, he's just staying on the failed Republican message, without taking into consideration that 70% of America, 70%, that includes Republican, Democrat, and Independent, acknowledge that the shutdown was the fault and the sole responsibility of the Republican Party. I think it was 21% turned around and said that it was that they're not sure, that they think both sides played a role, and 7% turned around and said that it was 100% the Democrats' fault. Interestingly enough, I want to point out that 7% of America also believes that Elvis Presley is still alive.
What I saw there, Cohen, and I'll just play contrarian here, when he said to MAGA Mike, he always gets the good seats. Where is he? He always gets the good location. He's going to have a great place in history. That's really the part that I was focused on. And to me, what I believe that he was saying there in his mafia way is, you like that seat? You like getting the VIP spot, and you want to have that place in history. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. He always gets the good location. He was, in his own way, showing MAGA Mike, you owe that to me. And that's the message that I think. And I just think
he actually does owe it to him, because Trump actually pushed for him, but pushed for him for a reason which doesn't benefit us as Americans. It certainly benefits this administration, which leads me to believe what I had said before even seeing this video, which is that I think that there's something nefarious going on. I believe that, when they try to come forth with that 218th vote, something is going to happen. Remember, even assuming that they get the 218, nobody backs out, that still then has to go to the Senate. And I'm not sure whether or not this president with Thune and others have not already figured out a way how to block it. Why they don't want the release of it, despite 10 years of them campaigning on it, again, it makes each and every one of us just want to see the files more and more.
And you have all these foreign countries, and you lose all moral authority when you campaigned on releasing the files. And not only do you cover them up, but you elevate one of the lead sex traffickers involved in it. Ghislaine Maxwell, all of the reporting showing, right, that when she got moved to this Camp Bryan prison facility, she was in the maximum security facility in Tallahassee. They moved her to a minimum security facility in Bryan, Texas, where she's been, according to her own emails that were obtained through public records requests by Democratic Congressmember Jamie Raskin, she was like, I feel like Alice in Wonderland. I feel like I've been reborn here. And she says, how great is it? The prison warden is helping me with my commutation paperwork, and I get to have all of these meetings with VIPs. And anybody at that minimum security facility who speaks out against Ghislaine, they've been transferred to the maximum security facility in Houston, even though their crimes make them actually belong in the minimum security facility. And there's been a number of examples where people, whistleblowers who have spoken out against the favoritism towards Ghislaine Maxwell, they got moved to maximum security facilities. According to lots of reporting, the warden of that prison, the minimum security Camp Bryan, even told people, this is what's going to happen to you if you speak negatively of Ghislaine Maxwell. And they put this convicted child sex trafficker in this community. This is a facility that doesn't really have like fences around it. Kind of anybody can just like walk right off of it. And she was moved there within a day or two after she met with Donald Trump's former personal lawyer,
okay,
guy who cross-examined Michael Cohen, Todd
Blanche.
Case.
Yeah, let me jump in here for 1 second. As somebody that was in a facility just like that, the AKA's Camp Cupcakes, which, by the way, they don't serve cupcakes. There are no fences. There's limited guards and so on. However, it's still prison, and there's still certain rules that apply. First and foremost, if you have a prison sentence that's 10 years or greater, you cannot be there. Number one. Number two, and even more important, sex crimes like rape or use of a firearm, a weapon, you're not permitted in a satellite camp either. Ghislaine Maxwell had both, and somehow they managed to move her from, as Ben said, that maximum security all the way to the lowest security rating facility that's out there. That's a neat trick.
Now we're also learning from the suspicious activity reports that have been released in connection with cases involving JP Morgan Chase. The Democrats on the Oversight Committee and the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal, they've been making these public records requests or requests to federal judges to open up the dockets in certain cases. We're learning that the Epstein sex trafficking ring was adjacent to the Epstein money laundering scheme. About $1 billion in money laundering was believed to basically pass through Epstein and his associated accounts, including, and this was, I'm not trying to be like conspiratorial Ben or whatever, I'm just telling you what's on the suspicious activity report. There were 4,600 of them. And then the main summary from JP Morgan Chase also said that there were connections with Russian bank accounts as well as part of the money laundering. That's directly from the suspicious.
Hey, Ben, can I add one thing to your SAR's suspicious activity reports? I want people to remember, you see, today, like with all the bullshit that we're dealing with Trump's chaos on a daily basis, that numbs us, that makes us like the blowing up of those boats and so on, or the chaos that we see every day. Remember when this was taking place, 2004, 2005, and before that. Before 2004, how many billionaires did anybody hear of? You had people with hundreds of millions of dollars. You had people who were coming close to $1 billion, right? But we didn't have numbers like we have today, where, you know, you have somebody worth 400 billion or 500 billion. $1 billion just in suspicious activity reports. I want people to put that into perspective, to understand just how big and pronounced the scheme actually was. I just
That's a great point. 2007, billion
Right.
is like the equivalent of $20 billion today. And I know it doesn't necessarily equate to that if you basically did the years, but if you put $1 billion in the market the way these billionaires did, it probably would be around $20 billion today, today or so. So you have that. I also had done some reporting as well on some of these emails. There was an Iranian-backed hacking group that got their hands on these Epstein emails, and they hacked also Ehud Barak, the former Israeli prime minister and defense minister's email accounts. And there were emails back and forth between Barak and Epstein about Cote d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, an African nation, Mongolia, and other countries about providing Israeli defense equipment. And I know I'm like, it is like, come on, Ben, you're going down a conspiratorial rabbit. It was in the emails. It's actually in the emails. And what seemed to be taking place was that Epstein would use the connections in the sex trafficking ring to get access to lots of powerful people. And then he would be the middleman in these deals and earn commissions by selling defense contractor services to these developing countries in order to help their leaders basically cement their power, like Alassane Ouattara in Cote d'Ivoire and the Mongolian leader at the time. So there's, in other words, what the hell is in these Epstein files? There seems to be a lot of potential here, and we see potential for things that will blow our minds even more than anybody ever thought. And we know that Trump's referenced over and over and over again. And so, Cohen, with all of that taking place, to the extent there's any positive news that comes out of what's transpired in these past 48 hours, I think that is something to take a look at, because I'll tell you this, and I know we're going to talk more about it on this episode as well. I wanted the thing that obviously, from a moral perspective, from a doing right perspective, from a fighting perspective, from doing what they were elected to do perspective, these 8 Democrats betrayed us all in just folding, in surrendering at a high point in the Democratic Party. You had the Tuesday election, everybody was feeling the momentum, and the country was blaming Trump, rightfully so. Trump was spiraling out of control, and we showed what it looked like to fight. So they did the wrong thing morally, the wrong thing politically, just the wrong thing. But what bugged me, I don't want to say equally, probably a little less, but what bugged me is they then tried to sell it.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? We're going to get the vote in the Senate, though, on the issue of Affordable Care Act subsidies. So this is a good thing because we're going to get the vote. And it's like, don't, if you're going to actually do this, right, Cohen? Like, if you're going to betray, here's what you, don't do it, own it. Don't do it Sunday night.
Right.
Okay. And do it on a Monday or a Tuesday, and then just let people know why you're doing it and try to explain it. But don't give us some false hope crap that, there's going to be a vote on the Affordable Care Act. MAGA Mike Johnson is never going to even bring it to a vote in the House.
The deal was a handshake to agree that maybe sometime in the future, not sure when, but maybe there'll ultimately be a vote, hopefully, on the Affordable Care Act and the subsidies. That's what you did. In law, we always tell you that an agreement to agree is not an agreement at all. And that's exactly what these idiots did. They agreed to agree without any restrictions, without any guarantees. They gave away what each and every one of us have been fighting for, literally for the past 40 days. All right? They gave it away like that.
Right. Now, imagine, though, if they owned it. If they went, if they said the following: we know this is a deeply unpopular thing that we're doing. We understand that you feel betrayed by us. We want to let you know why we did it. And we are retiring. So we also know that you can't hold us accountable, but we want to let you know why we think, because all the people who did it other than Tim Kaine are basically retiring, but Kaine's election's 2030, which I think that's one of the reasons why he was involved. But here's the reason that we did it. And you can be pissed at us. We get it. But here's why we did it. The Republicans refused to do any vote on the Affordable Care Act. We've made clear that there's zero chance that they are going to do the right thing. They will be okay with you dying. We simply feel, despite us looking like cowards in doing this, knowing that they're actually willing, we can't play chicken with your life. We know that they will let you die. And sorry, even if we feel weak, even though we know this ACA vote is not real, we just feel that we have to allow families to see each other on Thanksgiving. And we're deeply sorry about this. Hold us accountable. We suck. If they did it that way, Cohen, at least I would say, you know what? I think what they did was horrible, but at least they're providing me with some explanation rooted in a realm, but they didn't. They, again, basically did a Ponzi scheme where they're like, oh, but we got you. You didn't get us anything, okay?
Yeah.
If you frame it as all you tried to get is Donald Trump's willing to kill people and we just can't sit by and let it happen, at least I'd be like, but it's just so bad. That's how I want to intellectualize it, and perhaps I'm overthinking. Colin, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that, Trump has done some great things, including bringing down the cost of the turkey meal dinners at Walmart, where you're getting half a turkey instead of a full turkey. You're getting 2 potatoes instead of 4. You're getting half an order of stuffing. But don't worry, the price is down, so everybody will be able to enjoy a wonderful Thanksgiving. If that in and of itself isn't a kick to the nads with steel-tip boots, I don't know what it is. If that isn't being blind, deaf, and dumb to the realities of what Americans are going through right now, 42 million Americans who are losing their SNAP benefits will have no food, 17 million children, 10 million elderly, and then on top of that, over 27 to 30 million Americans literally losing health care, except for what? Catastrophic health care, meaning you pick your ass up when you're dying and you head over to the emergency room. This is out of control for a country that the president of the United States, touts as the greatest country in the history of the earth, the richest country in the history of the earth, right? The most financially lucrative, thanks to him, country on the face of the earth, that we can't feed and we can't provide health care to our own citizens. It's a fucking disgrace.
I feel like we know who's going to get the 2-finger salute, but stay tuned for that. We're going to take our first and only quick break of the show. When we return, we've got a lot more to discuss. A reminder, make sure you subscribe to Michael Cohen's other podcast, Mea Culpa, which is right here on the Midas Touch Network. Make sure you subscribe there on audio podcasts. Subscribe to Michael Cohen's Substack by searching his name. Subscribe to Michael Cohen's YouTube channel at The Michael Cohen Show. I'm seeing a real surge in content on that YouTube channel, and we're seeing viewers really increase there. I've been liking your takes. They're always good, but we're seeing a surge there on YouTube. Everybody, make sure you subscribe to at The Michael Cohen Show YouTube channel. All right, let's take our only quick break of the show. When we come back, 2-finger salute and much more. Let's take our only break.
You ever tried launching a podcast with zero experience? Well, let me tell you something. It's like being tossed into a cage match with a grizzly bear, blindfolded, wearing clown shoes. Because when I started Political Beatdown with Ben, I thought, come on, man, how hard can this be? Script writing, logos, production schedules, ad deals, and don't even get me started on the tech setup. I mean, I feel like I was decoding a damn matrix. Now, if only I had Shopify when I launched this beast. Shopify is the platform behind millions of businesses across the globe, responsible for a whopping 10%. You hear that? 10% of all e-commerce in the United States. And my friends, that's not hype. That's fact. From big names like Mattel and Gymshark to folks just getting their hustle off the ground, Shopify's got their back. I mean, you want a gorgeous online store? Shopify's got hundreds of sleek, ready-to-go templates that make you look like a design god. AI tools? Yeah, they've got those too. Writing your podcast descriptions, jazzing up your images, maybe even making you sound smarter than you are. I mean, not naming names. And you need a marketing squad? Shopify's built-in tools let you hit email, Instagram, TikTok, wherever your customers are scrolling or doom scrolling. And listen, Shopify handles it all. Inventory, returns, international shipping. I mean, they are the ride or die business partner that you never knew you needed. So if you got a big idea or even a little one and you're ready to turn that dream into a reality, head over to shopify.com/beat. That's shopify.com/beat to start your $1 per month trial today. That's Shopify, shopify.com/beat. So I have to tell you, I just had one of those moments that make you question reality. I found a pair of glasses that looked incredible on me. And then I checked the price for the frames alone. $400, $400. I actually asked the salesperson if that came with a steak and a bottle of wine. Spoiler alert, it didn't. So I went home, I pulled up dupe.com, and boom, I found the same brand, the same glasses for $99. That's when it clicked. Why pay 4 times more just to get the same thing with its same logo? You see, now I'm obsessed. You can use Dupe for anything, furniture, fashion, tech, gifts, you name it. Just type dupe.com/ before any product URL, and it instantly finds you the same or nearly identical item for a fraction of the price. I mean, it's like having a personal deal hunting assistant who actually knows what they're doing. And here's the kicker. For a limited time, the first 10,000 people who go to dupe.com/beat will get 500 Dupe points instantly, which are redeemable for gift cards, no catch. But spots are limited, so don't wait. That's dupe.com, dupe.com/beat for 500 free Dupe points today. Use your Dupe points and gift cards to make the most of your holiday shopping. So again, go to dupe.com/beat. Go now.
Welcome back. Political Beatdown. Thank you to all of those pro-democracy sponsors. We appreciate them.
We do.
Let them. I'm going to try to make your I'm going to make your 2-finger salute easy right now, and then I'm going to move on. And I'll bring back the two.
Before we even throw out who the 2-finger salute belongs to, I'm curious. I'm curious from our brigaders, because we're all family here. And, when it comes to at least my family, Ben, you and I, and, and the brothers and my siblings, we actually speak about things, not necessarily the 2-finger salute, but which one of the siblings is giving the other finger, the other sibling, the 2-finger salute. I'm curious who many of our brigaders think deserve the 2-finger salute. And I'm wondering if I know exactly who you're thinking, Ben, and I know it because I'm thinking the exact same thing. So I'm dying to see whether or not our brigaders are on the same the same wavelength that we are.
Well, I'll make it easy for them. Here is Angus King, independent senator from Maine. Here's what he said. Just play the first one, Jeremy.
Well, Joe, you have to go back to what the strategy was at the beginning of the shutdown. There were 2 goals, both of which I support. One was standing up to Donald Trump. The other was getting some resolution on the ACA premium tax credit issue. The problem was the shutdown wasn't accomplishing either goals, and there was there was zero likelihood that it was going to. In terms of standing up to Donald Trump, the shutdown actually gave him more power, Exhibit A being what he's done with SNAP and SNAP benefits across the country. Oh, by the way, Joe, you're going to love this. Guess who's getting paid during the shutdown? Not the park rangers or air traffic controllers, the ICE agents. under special law, under that big, awful bill that they passed last summer, the ICE agents are being paid. Nobody else is. So standing up to Donald Trump didn't work. It actually gave him more power.
Okay.
You see,
Let me say something about Anus King over here. All right. He actually gave the exact reason why he should not have gone along with the other 7 assholes. All right. Anus King is absolutely what is wrong with Washington, D.C. right now. They basically rolled over, they caved in, they bent the knee for no reason other than, well, maybe one day we'll figure it out. Because each and every one of those eight feckless fucking turncoats, every single one of them deserves not just the 2 fingers. I wish I had 2 more arms attached to me so I can actually give them the 4 fucking fingers salute, because they are all so goddamn bad. This is why we all must stick together, stay angry, stay motivated, stay aggressive, right? And just every one of us, every time we see them, just give them the old 2 fingers salute, because they fucking suck.
You know, and here's the thing. It also shows that Angus King actually, he doesn't understand power. And he doesn't, and it's an important dynamic about where the power resides. And it was something there that he said that it actually gave Trump more power. You know, maybe relative to you, Angus King, but not relative to the people. You see, the power lies with the people. And what this shutdown was doing was emboldening and strengthening and building confidence to the people. And it was weakening Donald Trump. And how do we know that? I mean, Trump was spiraling out of control, filibuster this, filibuster that, erratic posts, erratic decision making. We knew that he would engage in behavior to try to harm the American people. And when he did that, further power resided in the people. You know, the people who were the ones suffering by and large were lots of the people who were saying, we understand why this fight needs to take place, because there's no doing a deal with this regime. Frankly, there was a government shutdown 9 months ago when Trump took office, when the regime started, when they started the reduction in forces and firing everybody and basically stopping government from working, when they appointed people to the cabinet who were put there to destroy the agencies. We don't have a functioning government right now to begin with. And Angus and these 7 others, they don't understand where the power lies. And it was accomplishing its goals, because before the shutdown, nobody was talking about Affordable Care Act subsidies. Nobody was talking, not lots of people. We're talking about the issue of people losing health care. It was this, just issue that was floating there, but it wasn't made concrete. And people weren't talking about the benefits that Trump was taking away. The shutdown put a focus on it. And here's the thing, where what Angus could have said, and again, it wouldn't have made the behavior any better to me, but he could have said, we know that right now what we're doing is unpopular and you will hate it. But the shutdown showed that we can fight. And we did fight. And what we proved in the shutdown is Trump is willing to kill you. We feel that even though it will piss you off, we can't have people die by Thanksgiving. We have to do what we're going to do, and you will hate us for it, and you should, but this is why we're doing it. It's just, we're all sick and tired, Cohen, of these elites, of these individuals talking down to us and lying to us.
Well, they're self-proclaimed elites. That's the whole thing. I don't see them as elite. You don't see them as elite. Our brigaders don't see these fucknuts as elites. I see them as a bunch of feckless wimps that turn around and caved when they shouldn't have. And you're right, Ben. We are the ones that have the power. We have the power at the ballot. And at that point in time, like I said, this is the way that we show them that this sort of bullshit doesn't work. And if this is the way that there's nothing that Anus King could possibly say that's going to make me say that he's not a complete and total asshole, so that his parents named him appropriately. He is an asshole, and I don't care what he would say. Oh my, we're concerned. We don't want you to go hungry. It's not us. Let me be very, very quick to say there is a term called a partocracy. The term partocracy means when one group controls the entire government. Well, who is the group that controls the entire government? It is the Republican Party. They control the White House, the Senate, and the House of Representatives. In fact, they control, for the most part, the Supreme Court too. But this is the pure definition of a partocracy. If all they needed to do, think about it. It's not like Democrats were saying, hey, we want you to send everybody $2,000 as a check. And the Republicans say, hey, that would be fiscally irresponsible. We don't have the money for it. Okay, I can understand that. We're asking as Democrats to ensure that all Americans have health care. That's what the big fight is about. So not only do they not want you to eat, Republicans also don't want you to see a doctor when you're sick, right? Because food and health care are for the rich and the elites.
Right. And again, it may sound screwed up, but like if Angus or Sheehan or whoever, they went up with the level of seriousness, acknowledged the betrayal. Don't act like you did what we wanted. You didn't. But acknowledge the betrayal, apologize for the betrayal, explain the long-term plan that was real and specific and cogent, explained how, going into Thanksgiving, they feel we know that Trump and Republicans will be okay with everybody suffering. Whatever it is, and just say we betrayed you and we know we did, but we hope when history is written, you'll look back at this and say it made sense. Would I still be the same level of pissed? Probably, but I would at least be like, okay, like they're at least explaining it to me, not like I'm stupid.
I don't agree, but at least I understand.
Exactly.
Hey, look,
but to your point, because it's very Trumpy, right? Like, what was Trump doing this weekend? 50-year mortgage, and like we're stupid. Like, okay,
playing golf.
No, but exactly. But he said we're going to do a 50-year mortgage, and that's going to make your principal payments cheaper. So I've solved affordability, right? No, you've just ballooned interest to 75% more.
86%.
86% more.
Increase, on a 50-year mortgage, the math was done. It increases the interest on the property that you're acquiring by 86%. There you go, about 80. I read the article, by the way. So not that I calculated in my mathematical brain. I did read the article, and it was in a few different places. I do want to say this. There is, as Ben said, power in the people. And who are the people? We are the people. And where do we come as people, as our community, in order to get this sort of information, to express our anger, our outrage, and to come up with a cogent and an intelligent plan how to battle it? Right here on the Midas Touch Network. There's no other place you're going to get this. And I'm not saying it because I've known Ben now many, many years, because I do this show with him, because I keep my Mea Culpa podcast and my YouTube. I do all my stuff with Midas Touch Network. I do it because it's legit. And please, let's grow this community so that we are unstoppable, untouchable. We are undeniably the place that people will go in order to get truth, in order to get facts, and to take the truth and the facts and to do something with it. Because, yeah, we could scream from the rooftops. We need some people to be listening. And I'm fortunate that we have over 5.5 million of you to help grow this. So please, every one of you, I'm asking I have, as you all know, I've gone through hell and back. I know what hell looks like, and you don't want to know. So I'm saying to you, please, every single one of you, bring one person, just one, by next week. actually today's Tuesday, by Thursday, just one person to Midas Touch Network so that they too can become educated and that they can help to spread the word. We'd have over 10 million. So please, that's my ask to you.
Right. So one of the, appreciate that, Cohen, and appreciate that, Brigaders. So he talked about the 50-year mortgage. The other thing was we're going to get rid of insurance companies and give everybody a $2,000 check. Remember, they promised $5,000 checks, Doge dividend checks. Then they promised tariff rebate checks. Now, whatever this is, they're calling it a tariff dividend check, which if you do the math, we've only brought in about $200 billion in tariff revenue, which, by the way, Trump's own Solicitor General before the Supreme Court says it's not revenue, because if he says it's revenue, then it's a tax, which is what it is. And then it's Article 1 congressional power, and then they lose the case. So that's why Trump's lawyer was saying it's not revenue generating. It's not revenue generating, but okay. So Trump lies and said we brought in 22 trillion, 18 trillion. We're going to do a dividend and we'll get rid of insurance companies. Well, let's just assume you gave everybody a $2,000 check. What happens when somebody needs a $10,000 surgery or a $50,000 surgery or $1 million worth of surgery? The whole point of the concept of insurance is to insure against those types of events. That's the purpose of it. The question is who is the insurer? Is it universal health care, where the insurer, single payer, is the government stepping in and basically becoming the insurance company or collecting the insurance companies and forcing the prices across the board and setting the prices across the board? And you have a universal healthcare, a system that's, for free. Do you have a system of private insurance subsidized by the government, which is the Affordable Care Act, essentially, to try to bring the premiums down, create these high risk pools, but try to mitigate the risks by bringing more people into these pools so that you have lots of money coming in to pay these claims when there are, big catastrophic or expensive procedures? Or do you do something that existed before Obamacare, where health insurance is really something that's just given to the elites and everybody else is priced out of it? So you have wealthy people who get the best insurance in the world and everybody else doesn't even get insurance and they die. What ends up happening is, even if you think that's going to help you rich people, and everybody else uses urgent care or the emergency room as primary care, and it ends up creating a situation where you are causing healthcare to actually become more expensive for everybody when you do that. So ultimately, what is your plan? And saying that you're going to abolish insurance companies because people don't like insurance companies and will give you $2,000 instead it's a fake populism, because it's something that's not achievable. It's just so interesting to me that Trump can say something like that, right? And Mamdani will say, I want to do free buses and some free grocery stores. And everyone's like, oh my God, you're doing that. And Trump's like, you know what? I'm going to take over IBM. I'm going to tell NVIDIA, you can send chips to China, send them all of our top secrets if you pay 20% tax to the government. I'm going to, what's more of Donald Trump's central planning? You get 2 Barbies for Christmas, which is what Trump said. Stop buying multiple Barbies. And people are like, that's capitalism. No, it's not. That's a warped form of communism, is what Trump's involved in. But no one wants to call it that.
No. Look,
2 fingers salute, Cohen. Who are you going to give it to?
2 fingers salute, of course, goes, like I said, to those 8 feckless fucknuts that went ahead and voted against party line, that ended up screwing us up again and again after 40 long, hard days with all of the stuff that's going on. This is what they did. And so again, to the 8 feckless assholes, starting with Anus King and shithead Shaheen and, Dick Durbin, and he's got the perfect name for it. They're just a complete and total bunch of assholes. So, like I said before, I don't have enough arms. I don't have enough hands all right, in order to give them the number of middle fingers that they all deserve. A bunch of fucking traitors. Shame on them. And let's do what we do best. Let's coordinate. Let's go after each and every one of them and their seats. Those that aren't running for re-election again. Let's just go after each and every one of them. And you know what? It's so important for us to make sure that whoever it is that's going to step in to their seats, the ones that aren't running again for the state, for their spot, it's so important for us to make sure that we actually start doing our homework on some of these candidates. So to the 8 of you, fuck you all.
I want to leave us on this note, though, because it'll show you just some weirdness in the Oval Office right now. So Donald Trump held this press conference yesterday. He does his usual shtick, right, where he's like, I'm bringing in $20 trillion, $23 trillion. Jeremy, just play a short version of it and watch for me. I'm not going to play the full clip. Watch this. Here, play this clip.
I would say right now more than $18 trillion. The biggest number ever is a tiny fraction of that for any country. China.
All right, blah, 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 blah. So he does that. But then randomly, Charlie Kirk's widow, Erica Trump, is like in the Oval Office. Like, has nothing to do with this. Like, she's in the, what'd you say?
Erica Kirk.
Oh, Erica.
You made her Erica Trump as if
Melania,
you're out. Erica, you're in.
Well,
now you're gonna get Trump and JD Vance into a fight.
Or play the clip.
Where's Erica?
Because she's swearing in right now.
Just so your name is
Now, look, when I see people, Cohen, even the people who I'm like friendly with, I don't really greet them with kisses. I just don't. It's not my thing. I don't greet them with kisses. I don't leave with kisses. Maybe in other countries, I don't know. It's not my thing. Yeah, I'm a handshaker. I'm not a touchy, whatever. But like just randomly during a press conference, like imagine just you're at a meeting, like a business meeting, right? And the CEO's like, where is, and it's basically like an intern or just somebody who's working there. Where's Jennifer? And then you just go and just like kiss her. Like it's objectively a strange thing to just do, is to shout somebody's name. Like in what setting you have to kiss her? Like why? It's not even it's just a very strange thing that I know we saw it, but when you reflect on like, why is he doing a kiss? It's just very strange to me.
Yeah,
I'll just leave it at that. There's nothing else for you to say.
There's nothing else to be said.
Nothing for you to say. We'll end the show on that note. Everybody, please subscribe to the Mea Culpa audio podcast. Subscribe to Michael Cohen's YouTube channel at The Michael Cohen Show. Subscribe to Michael Cohen's Substack. Subscribe to our Substack. We appreciate you, Beatdown Brigaders. We're grateful for you. Stay in the fight. Stay passionate. Stay strong. We are in this together. We appreciate you. Shout out Brigaders. Shout out Midas Mighty. Boom.